chapter 2, if you have your Bibles with you. Before we do, or as you're turning, I'm going to give a few shout-outs to a few people in the audience. Today we have the Do-Go girls. Okay, I want to give a shout-out to them. Girls, raise your hand real quick in case someone doesn't know you. Ariana, raise your hand. Come on. Stop that. Ariana and Brianna got to go to the state championship this last weekend and wrestle for, being placed as one of the best wrestlers in their weight class. And so that's a feat in itself. Something that, and Brianna, I was promising her for 4 years, I'm going to come. And finally, she was able to wrestle her third place match. So me and Thea headed down there and got to watch her wrestle her last match at Jackson, I hate saying it, Township High School. But, and she is the only wrestler in Jackson history to place in the top 8 all 4 years in high school. Yeah. It's something, I just want to highlight this because, sometimes we forget about what our church family is doing outside of here, especially our students. But also, I want to highlight, she brought a friend today. His name is Bobby Duffy. Raise your hand real quick. Listen. This kid is a good wrestler, okay? He won a state championship. He got first place, not third like Brianna, And so, but he ended up, he's actually ranked in top 10 in the country, and he's going to Iowa as on a full ride. So if you like wrestling, you'll end up seeing him around. So the youth here in our church are doing so many great things, and I love hearing about it and highlight them because we want to follow Jesus, but we also want to, have some, I don't want to call them extracurriculars because that's my academic side or my principal hat coming in, but we have a life sometimes outside of here on Sunday, right? And sometimes we don't know about what each other are doing, and a really great conversation with somebody or even, stalking their social media page could be a great thing. And so we want to make sure that we are engaging in one another's life in some way, all right? All right, so let's jump into our text today. We're going to go back into our series, Life in His Name. And that's what we're trying to pull out as we're reading through John. So I just want to continue that to echo in our minds and our hearts, life in His name, life in His name. What does it truly look like for us? So on the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so. And the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. So, we've all been to weddings before, I'm sure. I love weddings. Weddings are a really great time. And being a pastor, Pastor Chris and I know we've got to officiate weddings. And usually that's when you get to see the real kind of stuff that happens behind the scenes, okay? Weddings, though they look perfect, beautiful attire, food's awesome, there's usually the but. Do you remember that happening? But do you remember when that happened to the bride in the back or that happened with the groom? There's always those fun things about weddings that you don't realize until after, until everyone's collar comes down a little bit and can relax. One thing is, I'll just tell you about my own wedding, for example. Me and Alyssa were doing a budget-focused wedding, okay? We were doing everything on a very minimal amount of money. I remember my mom was kind of ticked off at me, too. I'm just going to throw you under the bus a little bit, Mom. I didn't have the party favors to give out to people. We didn't have the money. It wasn't there. So Alyssa ordered her dress and her shoes from overseas. And they just came in, like the day before the wedding. The shoes just came in. Yeah, and so guess what happened? The shoes were just a little too big, okay? And so they ended up like wearing them like flip-flops down the aisle. But what she did was she stuffed tissue paper in there, made adjustments, everything's cool until the part where we did like this foot washing part of our service. And all of a sudden I take Alyssa's shoes off and there's just loads of tissues coming out. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, they didn't fit, sorry. Like, it was like one of those little things that, it's a wedding. Something's going to go wrong. I had one job, and I remember Laura told me, she said, you have one job. Don't worry about it. We got everything else. Just handle the rings. Just handle it. Laura and Pastor Chris basically did they were mentoring us. What do you call that? My mind's going blank. But they were our mentors. They were discipling us through the marriage process. And they were even handling all the arrangement. And I was a nervous wreck. And she just kept on going, hey, just get in the back room. Just get in the back room. All you got to do is handle the rings. Well, guess what I did? I messed up the rings. I gave the wrong rings to, I took my ring, was going to put it on hers. It was all confusing. It was a big, embarrassment in a sense. But it wasn't as bad as my friend, Pastor Scott, who at his wedding, he invited like the whole world. The whole world came basically to his wedding. It was like so many people, they were like pouring out. I don't know if you've ever been down the Main Street Alliance. That whole entire sanctuary was filled. It's like 2 gymnasiums like in there. It's huge. And right in front of everyone, his father spilled, because they were doing communion and they were drinking from like juice from a glass. Her father accidentally hit the juice, the glass, and it spilled all over her wedding dress. Right in front of everyone. And they didn't take pictures yet either. So yeah, weddings. Something's going to go wrong. Like, I'm just letting you know, it always goes wrong. And sometimes being in the seats that we are in, we get to see it firsthand when we're doing a wedding, whether the bride's sweating profusely or the groom is, or he's super nervous, whatever's happening, usually you get a front row seat and you hear about all of the problems that go wrong in a wedding. But we have a problem here in this wedding. The wine ran out. I mean, like, this is the story here, right? There's a clear problem that's happening, and we have to understand there's something, though, that Jesus wants to teach us in this. This ain't a story about wine, okay? Though I want us to understand, at that time, wine was, the way a wedding was handled was the bridegroom would actually go away from a period of time. He would get engaged, in a sense, he would commit himself to his wife. He would go away for a period of time, and the period of time was unknown to the bride. And he would have to do a few things while he was away. He'd have to prepare a house for her, okay? He'd have to start getting a job and working and preparing money for his family, okay? So he's got a house, he's got a job, and he's got now money for his wedding. Now, this all sounds normal, right? Like, this is what a man should do, right? This is what they should do. But in that culture, if you came to the wedding, if you came back for your bride, and for some reason you ran out of something at the party, or you didn't have everything lined up in the party, that was like a major social failure. Like major. You're like the bottom rung of the community. And then where this has happened at, in Canaan, this is not a big community. In Canaan, this is a small community. This is a small town. Maybe 1,000, they say maybe like 2,000 people might have lived there. I mean, if only 2,000 people are living near this town, or maybe even smaller, man, everybody knows everything about everybody. And now all of a sudden, the food ran out. You can't provide for your bride and the guests that you've invited. It was the groom's responsibility to do that, and he came up short. I don't know about you, but this kind of reminds me of areas that we could come up short in life too. Right? Yeah, I messed up the ring at the wedding, but what we're talking about is areas of our life where we just don't measure up to expectations in some way. Moments where we feel like in our life things just run dry. Or moments when we feel completely exposed. Like this could be an easy one, like a job loss, right? But not only like you lost your job, you got fired from your job. Or you just had a broken relationship, divorce. You were with someone for all this period of time, and all of a sudden, it didn't work out, and you're the reason why, or maybe they are, whatever it is, it's a broken relationship, and that hurts. Or what about financial struggle? I'm just not making ends meet right now. And in our culture, with prices going up again, or things changing, or uncertainty in front of us, even possible job loss just because of the economy, how are we going to make it through those tough times? Or what about the failure that nobody knows about? What about the failure that you haven't told everyone about? What about that one? All of these areas in our life where we are just coming up short in some way, they could be a major failure socially. It's the moment where you think, I got it all together, and then you realize, I don't have it together. You planned on one thing happening, and at the end, it didn't happen. Sometimes I'm just going to expose myself a little personally here. Sometimes I tell Alyssa, I'm like, I never imagined me living in the small little bi-level that I have. Never imagined that. And that's something that I have to let die, because that's just me competing with the culture. But again, there's probably a story that you've been writing in your mind of how something is going to look and work, and it's just not happening. So here we have this situation. Jesus is basically approached by his mom. Now, his mom is small town. People know each other. Look at us here. We know each other. So maybe, hey, could you help me with my wedding? Tanner family, could you help oversee the wedding? So Jesus' mom was probably involved in the family business, or the business of the family having the wedding. It's pretty obvious. She kind of knew something that not even the master of the ceremony knew. And now here it is. He's approached. They have no more wine. Now, I want to stop here for a second, because this is really important for us to understand something about Mary and this relationship with Jesus that he has. Now, if you come from a Catholic background like I do, this is the verse. This is the passage that all of the Mariology is built upon. Okay, Mary said it, therefore Jesus did it, and that's why we go to Mary instead, because we got to go to the mom. She'll tell the son what to do. Okay, that's not at all what this passage is saying. Okay, let's just clearly I'm gonna read it to you, which is some background knowledge. Okay, and we can understand what's really happening. Mary's now without a husband. Joseph is not really seen or heard about since he was younger. So now, for whatever reason why Joseph passed away, usually that right of leadership or that right of authority is passed down to the son, right? It would be kind of like me telling Harlan, if I die, you're in charge, you know? Okay? It would be no different in a sense. Jesus is the leader, in a sense, the man of the home. And you could hear it in the way that he even responds to his mother. He says, woman. Now, this is how we like to read it. Woman, why do you involve me? Like, I don't know if you've ever read it like that. Like, because how do we look at it? If I called my mom woman, like, she would slap me, like, right upside the face. Okay? So there's a reality here that there's something with this word woman. Actually, we even see this word woman being used in John chapter 19 again, in verses 26 to 27, when Jesus is hanging on the cross and he speaks to John and he says, take this woman. He doesn't say, take my mother. Take this woman. It would be in a sense of a word of like an endearment. Like, take this lady. And so now he's speaking to her not as so much a son, but as someone that has been caring for his mother for a long period of time. Now, let me tell you this. If Jesus was my son, I would take a lot of direction from him, okay? He's God. He's the God-man. Like, he created the heavens and the earth. He's got discernment that nobody knows nothing about. We don't even know what that's like, to be in oneness with the Father. And so, yeah, to have the God-man as your son, I would probably yield to him a little more in whatever he says. That starts to change the context of this a little bit, doesn't it? Woman, why do you involve me? My time has not yet come, speaking of his crucifixion. And it's not like she's like, oh, I know he's going to do what I just said, so he's going to fix the problem. No, Jesus, he does fix problems when we invite him into our problems. And he's going to handle it the way the God-man handles it, when we invite him into our problems. And so, know what she does? She surrenders. She doesn't say, make wine. At that point, this is Jesus' what in verse 11? It's his first miracle. She's never seen him do anything like this before. This is non-existent to her. And all of a sudden, he says, she thinks he's just going to whine out of nowhere. No, she's submitting. She is surrendering to the God-man. She's surrendering to the Son of God. She doesn't argue. She doesn't push back. She doesn't try to override him. In a sense, she just surrenders and says, hey, you know what, servants? Just do whatever he says. Do whatever he tells you to do. It's not about control. She's not pointing herself or pushing herself into the business. She's just simply pointing to Jesus. Now here's where it gets good. Because the servants do exactly what he says. Jesus, in that moment, from the time that he has this conversation with his mother, to the time he speaks to the servants, because he's in communication with his Father at all times, he says, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Hey, go fill those six water jars. Now, these aren't small water. These aren't like a little, like, kind of little quart, 2-quart thing. It's not a little pot. No, we're talking 20 to 30 gallon water jars. Now, is this going to take some labor? Is this going to take some work? Now, these water jars, I want to just be clear on what they're for. They're for ceremonial washing. Now, let me tell you what they did in the Jewish culture. Before they ate, they would wash their hands, okay? In a ceremonial way. I was told this passage way wrong one time, and it was they made it sound like the jars were used for feet cleaning. That's not what these are for at all. This is for the cleaning of the guest's hands. And so he says, take these big 20 to 30 gallon water jars, go, and what we even hear him say in the text, they drew from them, they drew water for them. So where'd they go? They probably went to the well, they carried the water jars, went down to the well, pumped the water out, got all the water, poured it into the jar. Once they had all 20 to 30 gallons, and they brought that bucket down, brought it back up. And now please know this, weddings they didn't happen over 2 hours of time like they do today. This is like a week, okay? And so after a period of time of going to get the water, how far do they fill it up to? The brim. I think that's really important because they had to do some work to go get that water, but they didn't leave any question, any doubt for addition to the water. See, back then, we're sometimes reading this text like wine is like how we drink wine today. It's not like that. It's like they used to water that thing down so much that if you tried to get drunk off of wine, like you would have a major stomach ache before you would even be able to do that. And so when people were like, because I mean, here's the thing, in the Jewish culture, they didn't look at like wine or getting drunk as a good thing. Like you go to a wedding today and you go to a sober wedding, it's like, oh, what is this? Oh, I guess you got problems here. No, that's how weddings were. It was just a way of drinking, a way of protecting themselves too. Wine had fermentation, water sometimes had bacteria. They would be able to blend them two together, and now you would have kind of a watered down juice, right? And everything fermented back then, right? Because they had no refrigeration process. And so there was always a little bit of alcohol in it or fermentation going on in some type of juice. But here it is. They go and bring them, and the water is up to the brim. No room for anything else to be added to them. Now, I'm telling you, if you read it any differently, it was, filled up 3/4 of the way, you could automatically assume, wine was added. No, the only thing that was in those jars was what? Water. Nothing else. Nothing else. Now, he shows us something here that I think is really important for us. We, meaning me and you, we always love to add something to make it work. I'm like trying to think of an example right now, but like where it's like, hey, I need to. This is what Christians do all the time. Oh, you need to. I think Bible reading is important. Please don't hear me what I'm on. You just need to read your Bible 5 minutes a day, and then you're going to be changed. It'll work then. Your life will be transformed. I'm telling you, sometimes you can read this, and you don't even know what you just read. So what happens then? Oh, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. We love to throw additional things into this Christianity that we're doing. Like, it's not going to work that way. It's not going to work. Well, I just need like a relationship. I need a good church. I'm telling you, you're going to find the same problems here you're going to find at the church down the street. And so we don't want to add something to get what we need. What do we want to do? Jesus did something so important. I want to show you where it's at. In verse 7, he said, the servants filled the jars with water, so they filled them, verse 7. Now, verse 8, so they filled them to the brim. He told them, now draw some out, take it to the master of the banquet. So they did so, and the master of the banquet tasted that had been turned into wine. Do you see where Jesus did it? You see where he changed it into wine? No, you don't see it, right? You don't see it. There's no magical moment where like Jesus is like, wine. You know what I mean? There's no like magical moment here. It's like somewhere in between of the faith of the servants of doing what Jesus said to do and really listening to him. It wasn't the servants who transformed it to wine. They just drew water to the point where they even drew it out to where the master took a sip. There was some point around that point, you could call it the white space of the text, where transformation happened. Change happened. There's a difference. There's something different. It was this, now it's this. Now, I think this is really important because, again, nothing added, just transformation. We're not into doing addition. We're doing transformation. Where is the transformation in your life? Why are we looking for the magical, Like we were even talking about it this morning. Like, why are we sometimes looking for the magical emotional moment? Like, no, transformation happens in specific moments, in that white space in between of you laboring for something and your faithfulness. I think it's that obedience piece. Like, as I'm obeying Jesus step by step in my life, and I'm walking with him in this step and walking with him in that step, all of a sudden, guess what starts to happen? He starts to change me. And he starts to do it from the inside out. And all of a sudden, the words, I remember the day I was playing golf. I was 19 or 20 years old. And I used to like golf for a little bit. And it was something to do. And I'm golfing, and that curse word flew out of my mouth as I saw my ball slice to the right. And I was like, ew, I don't like that anymore. It wasn't one day I'm like, I'm going to stop cursing today. No, it was all of a sudden there was this taste for it because I was walking with Jesus closer than I was before. So, for us today, what is the transformation that you need? You need a jar that is filled to the brim. You need something filled to the brim. And let's fill it right now. The way that I think you and I can fill ourselves to the brim is simply by identifying what it is that's in the water jar. What's in your jar? What is it? Like, just identifying where it is that you're currently at with God and what do you presently have? What are you struggling with? I'm gonna kind of bang it over our heads. I will, and I will never stop. These Kairos moments are essential for you to understand your journey with Jesus. Until you start, as you're walking with Jesus, and you start to take that downward side of the circle, okay, and you start to go down with Jesus on that circle, and you start to identify, God, what are you saying to me right now? What are you speaking to me right now? It is only when I hear him say it, I identify what it is, and then I actually go and do it, where I'm actually going to be able to see transformation in my life. So if you want a strong marriage, you want health in your relationships, you got to labor for it. You got to humble yourself for it. You got to lay your life down for it. Every morning you got to get up for it. And when you come home, you got to work for it. It's got to be every single moment of every single day. I'm working for this marriage. You want to raise great kids? You got to show up for them. You got to be present for them. You got to invest in them. You got to engage in them. You want good kids? You want great kids? Not behave. We're all going to make mistakes. Our kids are going to make mistakes. But if we want great kids, we got to be present for them. If we want to reach people for Jesus, guess what we got to do? We got to pray for them. We got to start in prayer on our knees praying for them. Are we praying for our neighbors? Are we praying for our coworkers? Are we praying for people in our family? Are we praying for them? We need to listen to them. We need to listen to the people that are around us and hear what they're saying to us and say, God, how can I minister to this person? You got to eat with your neighbors to be able to reach them for Jesus. You got to fellowship with them. You got to hang out with them. You got to rub shoulders with them. You got to love them. You got to serve them. And then you got to share with them to reach people for Jesus. If you want to grow spiritually, well, yeah, let's. I'm not saying hey, I think reading your Bible is important, but you can't just do that and it's going to fix it overnight. No, you got to pray daily. You got to read daily. You got to constantly be taking faith-filled risks with the Lord. You got to be constantly engaging in the church, fellowshipping with the saints, constantly rubbing shoulders with people. Be careful about what you're listening to. Be careful about what you're reading. Be careful about what you're watching. Slow down and surrender and have your Kairos moment at every way, every step we take. This ain't a passive journey with Jesus. It's not. I'm sorry. You came to the wrong place. You got to put work in if you want to be a Christian. You got to labor for it. You really got to labor for it. You actually got to do what Mary said, in a way. You got to listen to him. You got to listen to Jesus. And Jesus will transform you into something you never expected. Here's the cool part about this passage. I'm not done yet. I know it's long. When the master of the banquet tasted the wine, what did he say? He said, "You have saved the best for last." Most of us might interpret that as, oh, here's the real alcohol now. No, I just think it's usually you want people to say, hey, this is good wine, this is good juice, right? And we'll bring the watered down stuff later. We'll kind of break it up a little more. That's usually we want to make sure that when the best for last comes in our journey with Jesus, it only happens when we truly surrender, obey, and here's the most important thing, when you actually trust him. When you actually trust him. Here's the reality. I want to just tell you the straight truth, okay? And you know this. Most of us know this here. The wine's going to run out in your life. There's going to be a problem that you're faced with. You're going to be faced with some type of difficulty. You're going to feel empty. You're going to feel ashamed. You're going to feel like you're not enough. And the question that you have to ask, am I going to surrender to Jesus like Mary did? Am I going to obey like the servants did? Am I going to trust Jesus with the jar, with the water that's in my jar? Because when you do, when you really do that, he doesn't just fill it, he'll transform you, and you'll look back on this season of your life and go, God, wow, you did this beautiful thing in my life. I'm never the same because of you. Now, the question is, will you? Will you surrender? Will you obey? Will you trust? Let's pray. Jesus,